Hello everyone, Constitutionalist Libertarian here, and today we're going to be taking a look at an article from ABC News via AP. It's by Maria Cheng, who is an AP medical writer. Blowing smoke. E-cigarettes might help smokers quit. Now, the reason why I'm doing this article is I do have to give ABC credit and Maria as well. They are a little more favorable towards vaping, but they're still trying to push this bullshit narrative that's kind of anti-vaping. And basically, they're trying to say that there's no proof that vaping has the ability to be a smoking cessation tool. Like, they put critical theory out there, ignore scientific factors in the studies, which they actually cite one, but then they go and say consensus. Now, they're saying there is no consensus, and here's what's fucked up. Science has nothing to do with consensus. Consensus is something that's part of critical theory. Critical theory has no part of science. The Socratic method and going, why? Because, scientific method has, its foundations in Socratic method. Even though it comes, from Aristotle. Aristotle was a student of Socrates. He learned that questioning thing and getting a definitive answer from Socrates. So, to say that, Socrates, that it doesn't have a foundation in the Socratic method is complete bullshit. But that's beside the point. So, but I just wanted to clarify, because I had some shit in another video go, oh, yeah, it was Aristotle, and it's like, comment on another video, go, oh, it was Aristotle, you don't know what you're talking about, because I was doing something on climate change, and he was trying to fucking make me look stupid and him look smart, and it's like, well, fuckwit, you do realize that everything Aristotle built off of was what Socrates taught him, right? And it's different. That's Aristotle. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So I figured I best clarify. But yeah, so we have a foundation in a foundation in Socratic method, but yet they're going to try to pull. She's going to try to pull this consensus thing while saying, well, it looks like it could be a good thing because can't piss off, the Democrats and the left out there, because, I'm sure she wants, like, interviews or whatever, but because they're the ones that tend to be anti-vaping, especially from states like Massachusetts and California. Basically, any leftist-run state that took the tobacco master settlement and is counting on the money, they're anti-vaping, and I don't think she wants to piss them off, because if the mainstream media actually called out shit as it was, they wouldn't be able to push the bullshit narratives that they do. People who use these cigarettes are more likely to kick the habit than those who didn't, a new study found. Nicotine patches, gum, and medications are known to aid smoking cessation, but there is no consensus on whether vaping devices can help anti-smoking efforts. Actually, what is known about gums, medications, and patches is that they really don't fucking work for the overwhelming majority of people. I was one of them. I tried the gum, I tried the patch. I went short of trying, Chantix, because I'm not going to try that shit and fuck with my brain chemistry. Okay? And I tried chewing regular gum. I tried all the different ways. Chewing straws, to try to appease the oral fixation. And I smoked for over half of my life, and I'm in my 40s now. Well over half my life, actually. And the only thing that I was able to quit smoking with was vaping. I actually have my mod and everything right here next to me while I'm recording this. It has kept me off of cigarettes now. It'll be 3 years in November. I think that right there is proof, okay, when you have story after story. If you go out to Reddit and like the ECR, Electronic Cigarette Sub, story after story of how it helped people quit. If you go out here on YouTube and check out people like Grim Green, Phil, Bursado, I can't think of his first name, but you check him out. You check out others out here, okay? Like those two examples, they quit smoking because of vaping. It was such an impact, it had such an impact on their lives that they became, you know, people that are speaking about vaping and the technology and the science and things like that, and getting the information out there for people. So, I mean, when you have a community like that, you don't need fucking consensus. You've got fact. You've got this study. Fact. So why are you saying there is no consensus? Oh, that's right, because you're all Marxist motherfuckers who believe this critical theory fucking bullshit and don't understand that scientific proof like a fucking study, okay, doesn't need consensus because it's fact. That's why. The U.S. research is the largest look yet at electronic cigarette users, and it found e-cigarettes played a role in helping people quit. Completely false statement here. On the note of it being the largest. In the UK, NHS, or NIH, one of them, I think it might have been NHS, did a very long study. And if you put into a search engine, vaping found 95% safer than smoking, it should take you right to it. This study showed overwhelmingly that it is a stop smoking tool that works far better than the patches and gum and all, you know, the big pharma bullshit. And it says that it's 95% safer than smoking because that 5% is there just in case the long-term effects turn out to be not as minimal as they think. But they're pretty positive that that's just being overcautious. But yeah, it actually showed that they did help people quit. I love their choice of words, okay, that this is the biggest study, and it found that cigarettes played a role. They don't want to say how big of a role, because they don't want to fucking call out Big Pharma for producing fucking snake oil, because that's what their smoking cessation is. It's snake oil. Because one of the things that they do is they keep all the fucking other chemicals that you would find as flavor enhancers in theirs. Because they know that it isn't the nicotine that keeps you really addicted. Okay? Nicotine's like caffeine. It's all the other shit that they add. All the quote-unquote flavor enhancers that make it far more addictive. It's absolutely clear that e-cigarettes help smokers replace cigarettes, said Peter Hajek. I'm butchering that name and I apologize. Director of Health and Lifestyle Research at Queen Mary University in London, who wasn't part of the study. No, but he's actually familiar, I'm sure, with the study that I'm talking about. So, you're trying to make it sound like, well, you know, there's no consensus in this study, you know, we don't want to link what he's saying to it, even though he's speaking from a study that's actually larger than the one that we're claiming is the largest because we're ill-informed. So, yeah, he basically knows this, and they know this in the UK. Smoking rates have been generally declining for decades. Health experts have credited taxes on tobacco products and anti-smoking ads to the drop. Oh, I love this fucking leftist, fucking Marxist, fucking socialist, let's tax the shit out of it fucking thing. Oh yeah, it's our taxes that worked. No, it really isn't. And for you to try to claim that it is, when the biggest drop, which Maria brings up here, happened at a particular time, and you conveniently all ignore the history around that particular time frame. E-cigarettes have been sold in the U.S. since 2007. No, actually, all devices. Not most. All devices heat a liquid nicotine solution into vapor and were promoted to smokers as less dangerous alternatives since they don't contain all the chemicals, tar, or odor of regular cigarettes. Wow, talk about misrepresenting this a bit. All of them actually do it, like I said. And it's not the fact that they were promoted to smokers as a less dangerous alternative. It's the fact that they are a less dangerous alternative. You know, that Socratic method led to Aristotle, led to the scientific method, fucking shit where it's scientific fact, because NHS proved this, or NIH, I believe it was NHS. But, yeah, so they proved this, and you're trying to make something, oh, they were promoted like it was like snake oil fucking claim being made. No, it's a scientific fucking fact. Like, it's a scientific fact. Consensus isn't science. Researchers analyzed and compared data collected by the U.S. Census from 2001 to 2015, including the number of adult e-cigarette users from the most recent survey. Okay. About 2/3 of e-cigarettes users tried to quit smoking compared to 40% of non-users. The study found. This isn't necessarily a study. You're taking census fucking data from 2001 to 2015. You're going back prior to when vaping was a fucking factor. When cigarettes were cheaper. Huh. Yeah. This is some fucked up shit, but it's not really, because you're also taking into account that people are answering their census honestly. A lot of people aren't going to. About 2/3 of e-cigarette users tried to quit smoking compared to 40% of non-users, the study found. I love that. There's no fucking math here. I had to reread that because the math doesn't add up. You have about 2/3, which would be approximately 66%. That leaves you 34%. Yet 40% of non-percent. Wow. So they're saying that 66% took up vaping to quit smoking and 40% didn't. Where the fuck did you guys learn math? E-cigarette users were more likely to succeed in quitting for at least 3 months than non-users. 8% versus 5%. That's complete bullshit. That's complete bullshit. The NHS's study, the one they're 95% healthier, says you're fucking liars. Says that this shit is fucking bullshit because you don't want to admit that vaping is so much better for a smoking cessation tool than the nicotine patches and gum and all that other, and the lozenges and all that other stupid shit, because you don't want to piss off Big Pharma. The research was published online Wednesday in the journal BMJ. It was funded by the National Institutes of Health. The rate of people quitting smoking in the U.S. has remained steady at about 4.5% for years. It jumped to 5.6% in 2014 to 2015, representing about 350,000 fewer smokers. It was the first recorded rise in smoking cessation rates in 15 years. Now, They're going to try to play this down. Okay. Because they're ignoring that exact time frame. 2014 to 2015 was when vaping took off. And when I say take off, it exploded. It blew up. All right. It went from being, something out west, like California, that spread to Washington State. And Massachusetts kind of follows California. It's really fucked up, and all things political and things like this, for whatever reason, it seems like Massachusetts follows. And Massachusetts took notice, and it started spreading from there, north and south along the East Coast, and it just blew up from there. So that's why. But they're going to try to play down that fact that there's a direct correlation between when vaping blew up and when this jump happened. Well, national anti-smoking campaigns likely helped. Actually, no, they didn't, because at that time, and even now, the anti-smoking campaigns are definitely going after vaping as well, like out in California. And they did nothing but lie through their fucking teeth to where people laughed at them. They didn't help. But you don't want to admit that, because then your narrative here is complete shit. Because, it might have, kind of, sort of, because you're trying to play down the impact vaping has had and electronic cigarettes on the note of people quitting smoking. Well, national, like you say, this likely helped. The results, with the national anti-smoking campaigns likely helped. The results show e-cigarettes use also played an important role, said the lead author, Shuhong Zhu of the University of California, San Diego. And I'm surprised that UC system, actually, school system, college system, let them publish this, because they have been the cook fucking data, fake study fucking home for propaganda that California had been using to go after vaping. So I'm really shocked that he actually, did this study. Hajek, who wasn't part of the research, said vaping devices shouldn't be strictly regulated, but instead be allowed to compete directly with cigarettes, which they should. That is what is allowed for the technology to advance so much that just a few years ago, people were consuming 24 milligram a milliliter juice because the way that you took it in wasn't as efficient, to now where most people are able to use 3 milligram a milliliter or less juices, which makes the juices safer, because if you get it on you, you're not absorbing a large quantity of nicotine, for example, because you absorb nicotine through your skin. And the next statement that Hajek makes is very appropriate, okay, and should ring true with people's sections of their mind where common sense is. After saying the fact that he doesn't believe that they should be directly regulated. That way smokers can get what they want without killing themselves. You have all these people that are anti-vaping and they don't realize that this could save their lives. Because some people, like myself, like people I know, would go back to smoking if they didn't have vaping. I could cut my nicotine all the way down. I would still need to vape because of the oral fixation factor. It would be something that I wouldn't be able to get past. I know it. I've tried. I've gotten to where I can have my mod sitting next to me for hours on end. But there are a point where I'm like, oh, yeah, I need to, and I'll end up chain vaping for a bit, and then I put it back down, and I'm good for hours on end. So I know that the oral fixation thing would be a big issue for me. Earlier this month, a House panel renewed its efforts to prevent the Food and Drug Administration from requiring retroactive safety reviews of e-cigarettes already on the market. Others warned that long-term side effects of e-cigarettes are unknown. Got to throw that in there. This is after the NHS's study that says smoking is 95% healthier than cigarettes. And this thing with the House and trying to stop the FDA has been going on for a while. And the thing is you would think the left, the supposedly, oh, we're out here looking out for your health and all that types, would be pro-vaping. They're actually the ones that are strongest against it. The Obama administration was strongly against it. Okay. Fucking Pocahontas Warren, strongly against it. Pelosi, strongly against it. And they were the ones fighting the House from going anywhere with this. They were the ones trying to poison the well, along with other Democrats, on this House rolling back the deeming rules in regards to vaping. I mean, and the funny thing is they take someone whose job is dependent who's dependent on people suffering, on people dying, and they use him pushing an agenda to try to kind of say, oh yeah, well, they're kind of bad. Vaping is kind of bad. We just don't know if moving to e-cigarettes is good enough to reduce the harm. Bullshit, we do. We really do, because the national NHS, National Health Service, their study, 95% healthier than smoking, and shows that people actually are able to stay away from cigarettes with vaping and e-cigarettes. It says you're a fucking liar. And who said this? Aruni Bhatnagar, director of the American Heart Association's Tobacco Research and Addiction Center. See, because if there is a successful way for someone to actually quit smoking, this fuckwit's out of a job. Plain and simple. This person, Aruni Bhatnagar, or whatever the fuck the name is, would have no job. But we can't add that in as a disclaimer, like embraces. If vaping is accepted as means of smoking cessation, this fuckwit's out of job. That's what it should say, embraces, after that. Chris Bullen, who authored an accompanying editorial, said although the long-term safety of e-cigarettes is unclear, any ill effects are likely to be rare compared to the harms of continuing to smoke. Which, right there, he then should have cited the National Health Services study of how vaping is 95% healthier than smoking. The latest results strongly suggest that more lenient control of e-cigarettes could improve population health, said Bullen, a professor of public health at the University of Auckland. You notice that in order to get the pro-vaping stance here, except for the Chinese person that did the study, that was in charge of the study, or I believe was in charge of the study, thinking back here, were they, yes, the lead author. So they had to go abroad to find people. Why? Because you have the Marxist fucking little fuckwits that want free shit that are college professors and are teaching the millennials that same mentality. You have them being anti-vaping because being anti-vaping gives them more money from Big Pharma. And if you're in the University of California system, the Department of Health there will give you a shit ton of money to do a study and show how vaping is bad. So yeah, when you have that going on, you're going to have people attacking it, and to to try to find someone who isn't, you have to go abroad where vaping has become more socially acceptable. Like the UK. If every smoker was to change over, I mean, Auckland obviously is New Zealand, but I mean, like with the other guy, he was from the UK. That's what I meant by that. If every smoker was to change over to e-cigarettes completely, there would be a dramatic and almost immediate public health benefit, he said in an email. Very, very true. And that's what they don't want you to know. See, why would you think, say, Obama, on the note of being anti-vaping, his administration, and all the Democrats being anti-vaping, and wanting people to smoke, could it be, you know, for reasons like, on the note of, say, senators on a federal level, or senators on a state level? Could it be that these are people in states where they took the tobacco master settlement money and have been living high off the hog on it, or in the case of California, sold bonds against it, and they've seen a drop in smoking numbers occurring, you know, at that lower number? Then they see this massive drop-off, which that's an average percentage, the 5 point whatever it is, across the nation. If you look at places like California and Massachusetts, where vaping, on the note of either side of the either coast, where vaping has definitely strong numbers. I think that would be the best way to say it. Yes, we'll say strong numbers. That percentage is a lot higher than 5.6%. But they're averaging that out because they kind of have to, because you're looking at a national study, and say some place in the middle of the country might not, you know, a small town might not have that many people vaping. So it's kind of averaged out. And when you have those higher numbers in, say, Massachusetts and California, where Pelosi and Warren were coming out against vaping, you have to call them out for the reason why. They both know that their states basically leveraged tobacco master settlement money, not taking into account that a new technology would come in and increase the odds that someone could quit smoking. They didn't take that into account. So that's why these people are anti-vaping. That's why they were against rolling back the deeming regulations and the testing, and trying to find ways to make it more cost-effective if the testing was to remain for smaller people, because vaping is a cottage industry, to get in there and have their testing done. At least in this country, it's more of a cottage industry. Okay, in China, you have large factories spitting shit out. But Americans are still competing against that, which is funny. So, yeah, you have an industry that produces jobs in this country that they're against on that note. They're against it on the note of people for quitting smoking. And with that, I just got to say, you know, in closing, I am completely surprised that ABC News, the writer here, Maria, the one who contributed here, Mike Stobe, okay, actually were able to put this out the way they did, even though it was still kind of a hit piece against vaping, you know, with the shots that it took. I do have to give them credit. If any of you out there are smokers and you're looking to quit, as a former smoker who's not the type to push anything against you, you know, or to hold anything against another smoker that's current still, I might just make a suggestion type thing with them, like I'm going to do here. Take a look at vaping. I never thought I'd quit. That's why I did this article, because got to keep them legit when it comes to this stuff. It saved my life. My health is so much better now, and I just want to contribute back and get the word out there when it comes to stuff like this, you know, with vaping. But anyways, this is the Constitutionalist Libertarian. If you like the video, definitely hit the thumbs up. If you want to see more of my content, subscribe. If you want to be alerted to it, definitely ring that bell. I apologize for the screen blanking there at the last minute. But anyways, this is the Constitutionalist Libertarian. Thank you all. Have a good one.